Recording is on. So hi all, thanks for joining the jam session number 39, last one for the year 2022. It's our 21st session of the year. So yeah, as I wrote in Slack already, thanks for continuing to show up. Sometimes it's a little bit faster, sometimes a little bit slower, but I think this just continuously going at it is how things get good. So I think that it's nice to be able to look at the year and say, we did all of this stuff, and the jam sessions are kind of part of that. So yeah, last one for the year. I went and put together this Google Doc here, which I also linked in the design guide channel that we can use. But first of all, what would you like to chat about? Is there anything on your mind? Anything burning? Hey, Yashraj, good to have you here too. We have added this topic to the list for you.
It all looks good to me.
Cool. So there's one. Actually, let's turn these into checkboxes. Since we have that feature, we can just work that way. So there's the Mo posted the results and summary from the guide interviews. If everyone remembers that, or if no one remembers that, whichever Mo will, whatever. For some context, Mo and Bosch interviewed a bunch of people about the guide and asked them for their feedback: what's good, what's bad, what more of, what less of. And this is a summary post here in several different forms that Mo posted. And so there's a short video, a PDF, summary of quotes, and interview transcripts, which are anonymized. I read through it. I think it's really awesome. It's super cool to see it here. And Mo posted this 4 days ago, so it's fresh from the oven. I think this is a good one. We could potentially spend a lot of time on this. Not sure if you want to do this in this call or separately. What do you think? Stephen, did you have a chance to look at this?
No, I haven't looked at it. Sorry to interrupt. No, I haven't looked at it in depth.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe just in another session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good one. So if everyone just kind of takes their time, and maybe we can just use that issue to leave comments or start a conversation. Mo, if you feel like it's ready to say, hey, community, this is kind of the results. Is this how you feel also? Do you have anything to add? What do you think? What should be, that type of stuff. Then we can also post it in general or so, because I do think it's something that would be good to get broader input on. But yeah, thank you.
I'll post it in general today.
Also, thank you for doing all of this stuff. It's really good. You're kind of in wrap-up mode, right? The Blix case study, then you have this one. Things are.
I am in wrap-up mode. It is just, I think Notion is my best friend, and I know I'm seeing Notion's, but I'll tell you, just a quick summary of my own learning process of learning how to wrap up things and work in open source. When I first started my grant, I started with a GitHub. I was like, I'm going to put all my stuff in GitHub. I'm going to organize my stuff. Nope, that didn't work. Then I tried this browser installer, which is a browser installer with a to-do list, right? Check off your to-do list every morning when you wake up. Nope, didn't work. Notion works because I can link the stuff I'm working in inside Notion. And if I go to to-do, I just click there and then I go straight to what I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
It works like a charm. So that's my learning journey.
Yeah, that's the downside with Google Docs, that every document is an island in itself. The good thing with Notion is that it all kind of connects. You can build this knowledge base.
Yeah. So thanks to Notion for making me in wrap-up mode.
Okay. We're not sponsored here, probably, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's good that you found something for you. Okay, so basically, we'll just say everyone review on their own time, and then Mo to post in general to get feedback and Conversation going. Cool. The other one I didn't put, sorry?
I just said I'll review it this week.
Okay, awesome. Hey, Abdul Rahim, thanks for joining us. If you want to just lurk in, totally cool. If you want to chime in, have conversations, also cool. Just participate as you'd like. We were just, for some context, we were just going over this list of issues here that you see in my background here, and that document's also shared in the Slack channel for the guide. Cool. Merchant section. Stephen, I saw you posted something in the general, no, not the general channel, in the merchant channel. Did you want to give an update there?
Sure. Yeah, I just posted an update just on some stuff I was working on. I mean, the main gist is yeah, you got it up on screen right there. This is, an outline that we had looked at like probably a long time ago, and I know you sounded like you were receptive to it, Christoph. So I kind of polished it up a little bit and added some stuff. I took out the kind of like research stuff and crossed that out of the bottom just because I don't think that we're going to be able to get that. So, but I added a couple of other things. Like the case study section. I was just thinking, there's the Galoy cash register that Andrew was just talking about. And, I know Mio was doing open sessions with the community, getting feedback on that, even earlier this year. So that seems to me like really ripe content for a case study to sit alongside the Blixt one. Obviously, we already have an issue open for Fiat over Lightning. So I linked, that to an issue where applicable. I think the stuff at the top is, let's see, let me pull up that link. There we go. Yeah, personal finance. I don't think we were talking about that multi-currency. Merchant personas, this was just really me thinking do we need kind of a section just kind of talking about the different, just breaking down the different kind of use cases for this kind of software. You've got large businesses, medium businesses, small businesses. You've got people selling stuff online, people selling stuff in person. So there's a lot of different, use cases that vary. It's not just okay, they're a merchant, they're a business. It's going to depend on what they're selling and how much of it they're selling. So I'm not sure if that kind of stuff is useful or not, but really in terms of, actually producing some kind of reference design, Pav and I were talking about this, and it's I think it makes sense to just focus our efforts kind of on the, what's going to have a larger impact. And we were thinking when we never arrived at this decision, but something that just kind of was coming up in conversation was that, it'd probably be better to just kind of focus a reference design on, a smaller business, like a single person, running a food stand, or a freelancer, or a, small family-owned cafe or something like that. So yeah, I'm thinking that use case is kind of small business and person. That would be a pretty solid reference design, I think. But anyways, these were just outline ideas to get feedback on before actually producing anything. The main thing we're doing in the meantime is these merchant review calls, where we're kind of reviewing merchant software, and I've got the next one scheduled for this Wednesday, where we'll look at BTC Pay a little more in depth.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. I was just thinking with this business needs by size, if we could almost create something like the personal finance page, where we have daily spending, savings, emergency budget, whatever it is. Just exactly, the same thing for merchants in a way, and then for each one you can create your separate case study.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and starting with a small one also makes sense. I assume you'll even with the small, have to cover stuff like invoices, display of fiat and Bitcoin values and lots of other things that will still be relevant for all the bigger ones. And then you can just layer on the more complex stuff that's needed if you don't just have one person taking payments, but let's say 5 people in a restaurant or so. That's more like just adding layers around it, very generally speaking. So that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I like your idea about adding the case study as well, because we have a phone call recording of that when we did the walkthrough with Mia as well, and she's also very keen on putting together case studies. So she has all of the material. So that's a really good one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Hey, Daniel.
Hey there. Sorry I'm late.
Howdy. Is it also cold in Portugal? Were you wearing a jacket?
It's not as cold as most places in Europe these days, but yeah, I like to be warm.
How much did you catch of the merchant section? Stephen was just giving an update on his outline.
Yeah, don't worry about bringing me up to speed. I was just looking for the link to that document. If you could post that in the chat, I'm more than good.
Let's see.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, just carry on and I'll catch up there.
Okay, just one thing to catch you up with: the guide interview results. Mo summarized and published them. I think that's a good one for everyone to read through, and then we'll have async conversations. There are a bunch of smaller ones. Stephen, you had this one around pluralization. Someone had asked somewhere in that issue around whether use sats, bitcoins, and all of that. So Stephen put something together. I took a look at it earlier. So it's this part here. Is that visible in my video? Yeah. So I reviewed it. I think it's good. The only thing that I would add on to is another link to what my recommendation was. There's browsers have a standardized API for internationalization, and they also have an API for plural rules. So you can just ask the browser, for example, hey, based on the language of the current user, should this number be plural or singular? And then the API will give you back whether it should be plural or singular. So that way it's not, so if developers, designers rely on that, then it's not up to their personal preference, but it's just standardized. Yeah, so use a library basically instead of
deciding. I was reading the spec on that thing, and I was curious, does it actually give you the plural word, or does it just tell you like whether it should, what does it do?
So you give it a not a locale basically, or it takes the default one, and then you give it a number, and then it tells you if that number should be pluralized or not, and then you have to do the plural or singular formatting yourself. So it will tell you this is singular, and then you have to decide where what the singular of Bitcoin or SAT is, or euro or whatever it is. So it just tells you whether it should be plural or not.
That makes sense. And when it says there, that when it has the Arabic example there, when it says like 0, 1, 2, few, many, is that actually what the function, is that what the method returns?
Yeah. And
okay, got it. So some languages might have different forms of plural. Like it's not just so if I'm understanding this correctly, it's saying that Arabic doesn't just have like plural or not plural. It has 0, 1, 2, few, and many. Like you might pluralize a word differently if it's in the many category.
Yep. Yeah. So I think for English, it will be very simple. It'll be just one or other, or one or many. Yeah. But then other languages have different ones.
Got it. Yeah, I'll add that.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions on this one? Cool. So daily spending wallet prototype. I shared a video last week. I worked on it a bit more. I'll just show it real quick. This is what that looks like right now. So when you start it, you get to this overview page, and then you can just go into first use, where you start in the App Store, you open the wallet, create a new app, toggle things. You can see this. Choose iCloud, cool. Yep, no, I don't want any of this. I'm going to receive Bitcoin. I made the deposit. It shows up here. Yay. And then I'm in my balance here. Let's see. What I added today was, so your feedback would be really great, especially for send and receive. And this one all starts with this screen here. So for example, I have a contact that I want to send something to. So I go to contacts, pick my contact, pick whatever address I want to send to, and I enter the amount of sats. Then I send it. So that's one way to send. Another way to send is I type in a number. I press pay, then I
How
pick
did
my
you
contact.
enter the pick contacts flow?
Oh, that's here in the top left, the contacts icon.
Oh, okay.
So I can pick a contact and send it. I can type in a number and send it. I can scan a QR code, which then, I just get the amount and the node ID, then I pick a contact and then I send it. There are just a lot of different ways to enter this flow. Because by necessity, it kind of needs to be very flexible for many different situations. But in the end, you always end up picking an amount and an address, right? You always end up with that. But yeah, your feedback on that would be great. And then you can also, you type something in and then you go to the request flow. And feedback on that one
That
would
looks
be good
really great.
too. Awesome. And yeah, please also, you can take this link and load it up on your phone. And then you can just tap around there, because it'll feel different when you have it on your phone and you get into user brain and you just kind of react to it with system one thinking or whatever. And just a note, what's not in this prototype. So these are all the screens in the section, but I did not include anything specific to security or privacy in the prototype, because some of these screens are just variations like error states. Contacts is only lightly, not all the functionality is in there. Same with activity. So I just focused on the main, on these 4 parts. But it's kind of tricky to turn some of these other sections into a somewhat coherent experience. But yeah, if someone could take a look and give some feedback or so, I'd really appreciate it to see what else we can do here.
All right, I'll look at it this week.
Yeah, I've added it as well to have a look at it this week.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Good. Out this one. Okay. Personal finance, example, wallet, config, update. This one has been lingering for a long time. Let me hop over to. So the complaint here that Glacier Protocol is just way overkill. We should not mention this in the personal finance page here, because no one will ever do this. I mean, maybe if you have like 10 billion in Bitcoin or so, you will, but otherwise. So my proposal was then recently, or from 4 days ago, to switch emergency funds from 3 signing devices and a desktop wallet application to smartphone app, hardware signing device, and 1 custody key, and switch savings to hardware signing device, wallet, app, and desktop app. This one here. Yeah, but please also take a look. If you need the context or so, Stephen, I know you looked at that one closely and gave some feedback. Do you want to just take that asynchronously, or?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
But yeah, I feel like it's another small one we can wrap up.
I'll read up on this as well, but coming at it with a fresh mind. So we're talking about savings. So for a normal person, you would have your daily spending wallet, and then you would have something like this as a more long-term, you don't touch it very often kind of thing.
Yep.
What do people actually do today, right? Like what's the one hardware wallet that is also, backed up with a seed phrase, or a hardware wallet with a passphrase, and is this also too much, is what I'm wondering. Like going from Glacier Protocol to like, this is a multi-sig, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Glacier Protocol wasn't.
Yeah, Glacier Protocol was a multi-sig, but like a way overcomplicated one. But
Exactly.
And these are also multi-sigs. But I'm wondering still, like, is multi-sig as a concept the only recommendation for savings? All right, like, is there kind of a step one of savings that is not multi-sig?
My guess is that most savings is really just a single hardware wallet somewhere, stashed away somewhere, because multi-sig is still way too complex or hard to use. So I think that the trick with this page is that we, on the one hand, we showcase different combinations of possibilities that we're a little bit forward-looking, that we also are realistic. And so, for example, I was thinking, it could easily, you could have savings and emergency just be the same. But then, what's the point? In a way, we can use this page to be, like I said earlier, to show some different configurations to kind of expand the possibilities in the reader's mind. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I think we have to decide editorially what we want to do here.
Yeah, I guess it should be forward-looking. It's okay if it's not something most people do today, because we want to encourage people to design better options, and having some form of app component, a hardware signing device, and a desktop wallet combination. That sounds reasonable if it's well designed. I just haven't seen one yet, but like, I guess that's what we're going to do.
I hope so.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, another way to do.
Yeah, it was just
Christoph, I just wanted to quickly jump in about this one. I'm not an expert by a long stretch, but I think the emergency configuration, I think that is the configuration I think that the log team have proposed, right? Because I read their article, right?
Yeah.
Log's approach to self-custody, and I think that's the one that the emergency one is using.
Yeah, that's what they're suggesting. That's right. Yeah, so the interesting with the emergency one is ideally you never have to use it. So savings is something where every month or so, I put in a little bit. So there are a lot of deposits and very few withdrawals. Emergency is potentially one deposit and no withdrawals ever, because but when you need to withdraw it, you need it quickly. It needs to be right there. So there are, and the amount is probably less than savings also. So you can try to derive some of the configurations from those requirements. Maybe that's one way to think about it. But
yeah, and maybe the emergency can be like an extension of the savings. Wouldn't that be easier?
How would you make it an extension?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I just thought of that. Like, instead of having two separate setups, maybe like completely separate, they could overlap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's say savings is really a long-term thing. Then savings could potentially be something that involves a time lock, where it takes you 1 week to be able to unlock it. So it's super secure, and it even takes you time to get to it. Or maybe you put one in a lockbox or so, and that's the extra security. While emergency is something where you can get to it much more quickly because, let's say, you need to pay for a car, you have an accident, or your friend does, or you need to support someone or so. Yeah, I don't know. How about we just keep discussing this in that issue, and then just kind of see where we land.
Yeah.
And Yashraj, one of the things about the personal finance page, the idea is also to kind of I'm not sure how many people actually have an emergency fund, but if you read up on personal finance, the recommend online, if you just Google personal finance and how people should set up their budgets, this is one of the things that comes up very frequently. That's where these buckets come from. It's like traditional personal finance recommendations. So that's one of the reasons why it's in there as a separate thing, so people can ideally relate to it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I need to read a lot of things before I open my mouth. But yeah, I just thought of that, so I said it.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
that's great. And I personally also don't know the best answer to what we should put on here, so it will come from all of us. Yeah. No, thanks for
Yeah,
chiming
the
in.
emergency fund thing is one of those things that I totally agree with in principle and in planning, but would never do. I consider myself somewhat financially savvy, but for me it's a mental thing. Okay, I have emergency funds, but then they are physically or practically in some other account. They'll be in my savings account, or So I have never actually broken out and had a separate account or concept for that. It lives somewhere in my other setups. But it's interesting. I think it's like if you have the ultimate setup, it sounds reasonable. But yeah, I would probably never actually get around to doing it.
Yeah, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
Okay, Yashraj, why don't we just chat about your comment on spaced repetition here? So some time back, we added a one-liner somewhere about spaced repetition.
Yeah, it's in the recovery section. I think I provided a link to where it's added in my comment as well.
I'm not seeing it. Oh, it's just called reminders. Oh yeah, there it is, spaced repetition. Yeah, and I think what you recommended there is good. It's it adds one extra layer of detail. For example, what types of things to remind people about, and the triggers that trigger those reminders. Yeah, I could see that be an addition here. I think in UI we haven't explored this super deep, but yeah, why not? I think that could be a good one to make people think about these things. What does everyone else think?
Well, this is my first time ever hearing that term, so I'm catching up, but I think I get
Oh.
the basic gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, for context, we have information about just reminding people that they use a single SIG wallet, and all of a sudden they have 10,000 euro in there. The wallet could remind them, maybe you should improve your security, or maybe it's something where every 6 months it reminds you to test your backup, or things like that. So we have some information here. And someone a long time ago December a year ago, Bosch posted something about the idea of spaced repetition, which is used in traditional learning. So let's say you learn vocabulary, you learn it after day 1, then day 2, then day 4, then 8, 16. It kind of gets spaced out further and further, and due to the repetition, you memorize it better. So the idea here would be to use spaced repetition to help people develop good habits around their security. Doesn't have to be day 2, day 4, but it could, I don't know, be some different way.
Apparently it works as well. I know some educational institutions. There was one that's for developers. They really use spaced repetition to remember how to teach people how to learn how to code. So I think it probably works. But I think it's interesting using that concept to remember this kind of stuff. If I think if more wallets did it, then hopefully it would become second nature to people, and then there wouldn't need to be so many warnings and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the
I
question,
like the idea.
the question is just how in detail, how would you apply it? Would you remind people to check their backup all the time? Or check their settings, or memorize their recovery phrase? Or, in detail, which aspect of it do you want to drill into people's heads that it really, really sticks?
I guess the question would be, which is the one of these that gets people locked out of their wallets the most? And yeah, I the recovery phrase is usually 12 to 24 words. So I don't see how the average human, I mean, I couldn't remember 24 words and then just keep remembering it for the next year or something.
But maybe it
I'd have
doesn't
to
have,
write that.
but maybe it doesn't have, maybe it just can be a security reminder, and every single one is slightly different. At day 2, you get reminded about checking your battery. At day 4, you get reminded about your PIN. At day 8, you get reminded about wallet limits. At day 16, about something else. So it's just about thinking about security and backup. That's the thing.
We'd have to also be careful with the reminders, because I know when I was putting together the personas for Patricia's research, one of the new wallet users commented. He said that there were so many warnings and signals when he was setting up his wallet that it stressed him out. So it's almost like there's this fine line between. I love the concept of spaced repetition because we're helping people protect their assets, but at the same time, where's the fine line between that and too many warnings where you're making someone feel a bit, yeah.
This makes a lot of sense, and without being able to name any specific examples, I feel like I've been subjected to this in various products. Being reminded of checking if I have actually saved the backup phrase, if I set up the biometric stuff. So it definitely happens, and I guess we just need to turn this issue into a specific set of recommendations or just some examples. And I think it should be, heavily tied to, do you actually have anything in this wallet? Because the worst thing is if you just install a new wallet and then you get like 15, reminders or pointers like do this, do that. It's like, wow, can't be bothered. I'm just going to close this app.
There we go.
Because nobody needs to check if they've done all this if they have 0 sats in the wallet. So, a sensible approach, some clear examples, would be great. And then, down the line, maybe someone can write the absolute Bible on this, but just having something in there for now would be good. But the basics are obviously backup phrase, your recovery phrase, and then if you have anything in your wallet, then biometric starts to make sense.
But I like the concept, and in line with what Daniel said, if, when you're onboarding yourself onto the application, you're getting all of the warnings, and then it's so new for you, and then you're like, I'm doing something wrong, I'm getting all these warnings. But then with the spaced repetition, I guess on the development side, they can kind of space that out, over a week, as opposed to doing 10 in the beginning when someone's onboarding themselves, do the 10 over 7 days, so that it feels less,
Isn't there an annual day when we're supposed to do our recovery phrase verification? That maybe we could build something around that as well.
There's Proof of Keys Day, I think, January 3rd or something.
Because even if you have saved it once, it's good practice to make sure that you still actually know where it is and have access to it. And, yeah, that's the repetition phase, I guess, right? Even if you've done it, it's worth continuing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just
Josh, would this be something that you would be interested in? Maybe writing a little proposal for a draft or for a page?
who me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Actually, I was about to quickly jump in because the thing that I really got excited about when I read the title of the issue is that using spaced repetition for like the recovery phrase reminder. I mean, we always talk about 12 words in your head. What if an app, helped me do that? So yeah, but anywho, yeah, would love to do something on this for sure.
Yeah, if there was a way to teach more people their recovery phrase so they were able to keep it in their head, that would be awesome. I've never tried actually, so maybe I can do more than I think. But yeah, it would also present an interesting challenge to actually, how to design this in the app, because like it would be a little bit of a security concern, perhaps, to actually have flashcards in the app and stuff. But it could be fun to have a go. You could imagine Duolingo for recovery, for instance.
And maybe as a first step, the spaced repetition, maybe not to remember the recovery phrase, but maybe to write down the recovery phrase, as opposed to, hey, here's your 24 words, please remember them. Instead, hey, did you write down your 24 words somewhere? And here's the places we suggest you would note them down more. Yeah.
It also depends on.
Generally higher security.
I think it can also be mock-up of this somewhere. These application specific. So, for example, Breeze, they have a point of sale. They have this Lightning application store. They have podcasts, but it's kind of difficult sometimes to discover all this stuff, and they don't really put it on front and center. So applications can also have feature-specific recommendations that are mixed in with all of these. And yeah, if they're helpful, people will use them. If they don't care, then they're just not going to care. Yeah. Okay, cool. So it seems like that's something, it's like drip marketing in a way too, but for security. I know Bitbox, they told me that they send out these email reminders for 5 weeks or so to remind people about good security habits for their hardware wallet. Yeah. Okay, cool. All good on this one?
Yeah, I would,
Yeah.
no pressure, but I would definitely encourage Yash to, if you want, please make a little outline for a proposal of a page or a case study or something that you would like to see, and then we can start collaborating on that. So, yeah, that would be super cool.
Yes, 100%. I'd love to do that.
Some weird URLs showing up here. Stephen, this is one for you that I'd love to get your input on. So GitHub made me update the calendar workflow because they don't support Node 12 anymore. So I had to update it to Node 16, which I did, and I think Pav accepted it. But now we are getting these broken workflow runs. our action runs in the main repo. So we need to disable them in the main repo, so it only runs for the calendar branches where the calendar is located. So maybe we can take it separately. I hope my PR is right, but I'm not the pro on that. So your review on that would be super awesome.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Thank you. And then there were someone reached. Okay, Stephen, this is someone recommended via a Twitter DM, asked for a couple of tweaks. They said here that this B is not centered, which is correct, and that here. So in this update, I added the lightning bolt to the proposed SAT symbols, which is used in some wallets. Instead of SATs, it just uses the lightning bolt. So this updates that. And Stephen, I did accept your comment here. And yep, then I think this one's good to go after approval or review.
Will do.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Any other ones? That was it for my list. Stephen, you probably have a few things on your mind, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly focused on trying to, I really want us to get this next milestone wrapped up. So I've been working, obviously took over the pluralization issue on the current milestone. And then you've got the Glacier thing. I'm also working on the descriptors for printable backup. I had a nice long Slack conversation about that. I just need to distill that into an actual pull request. And then the last one on there is update the Lightning Services page. And yeah, I mean, I was chatting with Bosch, and I think, he's kind of busy with some other projects right now. So, I left a comment on here suggesting that we just close this issue. The reason I'm suggesting that is because, it's actually a very, very meaty issue. There's a lot of stuff, suggested being added in this one issue. Which isn't in and of itself a problem, but I think when I read these bullet points, it reads to me like he had a very, very clear idea in his mind of what needs, because he wrote the original page, right? So I think he had a very clear idea of what those needs to be, and I'm not sure someone else coming into this issue is going to be able to, execute on all those bullet points exactly. So. What I was proposing there with my comment is just that, if he wants to take care of the issue sometime in the near future, we go ahead and leave it open. But I think he's probably too busy right now for it. So I think we should either close the issue, or if we want to, we could subdivide it into smaller issues. Like each one of those bullet points could kind of become its own issue. If you can elaborate on those for a little bit. But I personally lean more towards just closing the issue if he's not going to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative is just move it out of the milestone.
Yeah, we could leave. That'd be another thing. Just leave it out of the milestone and just leave it up for discussion, as well. That would work.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going to kick it out. Okay, removed it from the milestone. Cool, done.
Yeah, that works. Then we're almost done with it.
Yeah.
Then I just got to do my descriptors thing this week, and I'll review your Glacier thing, and we can probably get the pluralization thing merged this week, and then we'll be done with that one.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and I really also want to support you with the merchant stuff. So my goal is to get the prototype wrapped up in as best as we can, and I think it's very close. It's very close.
And I also wanted to. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just rambling now. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes. Please go ahead.
No, I wanted to thank Stephen as well, because he really, I think he put 4 hours of work into helping me wrap up Blixt case study, because he was the one who literally put it into code and put it online. So really thank you a lot for that. But he also came up with the next one is he just went on it and he kept on finishing it. So yeah, he's a big reason that that case study is online. So thank you, Stephen. But also, thank you again to Stephen, because he made a suggestion for the personas, because we're going to try to put the personas on, but then the user journey maps, which Patricia created, which are images at the moment. Maybe I should show something more visual, because otherwise it doesn't make sense what I'm referring to. Just a moment. Where is this? Sorry, one moment. I was trying to use my mouse with my left hand so that I can alternate my left hand, alternate my mouse hand. Here we go. I'll share my screen. But he, oh, Christoph has it there. Yeah. He came up with this, Stephen came up with this mock-up over here of how we could visualize the user journey maps, because this is what the user journey map looks like at the moment. And that's not very accessibility friendly. So he kind of came up with two mock-ups, which he said that he could possibly code as ways of putting those user journey maps into the design guide. So just also wanted to thank Stephen for that, because yeah, thank you. So yeah, just to continue working with the personas one.
Yeah.
And see if we put those user journey maps in. That's going to be the tricky part, I think.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of just from a like information design perspective, I really like the ones that were in Patricia's research. Like they're very informative, and like the little kind of like emoji things like tell a little story. Yeah, they get the little like graph that goes. It's actually kind of cool, and I would hate to tamper with it too much, but yeah, I was just trying to think about like how it was going to play with like on a mobile phone and all of that, and like wanting to make sure that it's not just like all a giant image. So yeah, like if we just went with something like this, like with what Mo has on screen right now, that would be that kind of fits in line with a lot of the styling we already have on the guide. I could code that thing from Patricia's research or something like it, like a horizontal graph, and I could make it kind of like on the all the carousel sliders, and we have like 10 phone screens that we want to show off, and we make you have to scroll horizontally to see all of them. I could also do the graph something like that and code it all so that it's actual text, and then you would scroll horizontally to see the graph.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool to have a custom component just for user journeys where you can just slide through, because in a way you read them from left to right, column by
You
column.
do.
So you could potentially just go through on a smartphone one by one. Maybe there's a way to.
I think I agree with Christoph as well, because if we want to add more case studies to the Bitcoin design guide, then every single user journey map, if a case study has one, we'd have to completely change its essence. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I can make a user persona component, journey component.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, here's from the original website design. Here's a kind of a component that the idea was to show these types of steps or sequence of steps, and then you would just have to swipe left and right to go through them on a smartphone. Maybe some variation of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and maybe it'll lead us to do more user journeys, because they are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. They really are nice. Yeah.
But yeah,
with the dark mode design guide.
Yeah, the idea here was also that per page you could customize whether the whole page should be dark mode, or you could take individual sections where you just say one part of the page is dark mode, light mode, or you even provide custom colors in some simple way to spice up things a little bit somehow. But that was never implemented.
It's too spicy. They couldn't implement it.
Yeah, it was also to give designers a little bit more control if they, in a way to keep things standardized, but still give them a little bit more control over the expressiveness of the page. But we can still do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Mo, so developing a custom component is a little bit more work. Would this block the complete person? Would this block your work at all, or do you think you could just kind of keep?
No, I'm in wrapping up mode, as you said,
Yeah.
so I'm good to just go with it and just use what Steven's come up with. I think is good for now, and maybe in the future when there's more time, then we can just come up with some custom code, which, as you said, is not just click your fingers and you have something. So yeah,
A simple version could be that it's just an image, the landscape image. You're just going to have to tap it so it expands full screen, and then you have to rotate your phone, and you're just going to have, or zoom in. You're just going to have to deal with it, and then we can update it or upgrade it with a more custom solution. That's one option too.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, cool. That's it for our bullet points. They're all ticked off, so we're done. Sweet. I'm done. No, but I feel like Stephen, right? We'll be able to just wrap up these 2 milestones before the end of the year.
Yay.
Nice.
I love the way we use the word wrap up at the beginning of this call. Christoph started off with a joke with the whole wrap up thing, and then we finished the call also with the word wrap up. I think I might write my blog post on Friday, title it wrap up.
It's the classic 2 weeks. It'll take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. But so we don't have one. There's nothing scheduled. The next one would be on December 26th, which I'm pretty sure no one wants to have a jam session at that point, or not enough people. If you do, that's awesome. I personally don't. I'll be hanging out with family in Germany. That's a holiday. Other countries probably too. So we can just continue things asynchronously and kick off in the new year. And if we wrap up some of the milestones in the next couple of weeks, then we can take a fresh stab at things in January. And if anyone wants to do more work, we can just pick up issues and just kind of work on them, and we can keep things asynchronous. That's where most of the work, the actual practical work happens anyways, right? We're more coordinating here. But yeah, any other thoughts, ideas, things you'd like to chat about for today? What is that? Is that cake? Are those raspberries and blueberries?
I don't know. Been looking for an excuse to share that one the entire call. And then when you said if there's anything else you want to talk about, I'm like, well, this is my chance, because there's never any other good context for it. But
I see the relevance right now, Stephen. I'm feeling the relevance of that one right now. Just yeah.
That monkey is really enjoying it. Nice.
Oh man.
It's been a pretty good 2022, huh?
It's been a good one. Yeah. It's been a good one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Any wishes for 23? Completely random, not to do with anything.
More monkey emojis, not GIFs.
I was about to say that. More monkey emojis from
technically,
Stephen.
that's an ape.
Ape. Okay. What's the difference? Or how do you differentiate?
An ape, it's like a subgroup or something, right? I thought it was they're like a separate group, aren't they? You got primates, and then you got monkeys, and then you got apes. They're both examples of primates, I think. I hope I'm not screwing up my science here.
Ooh, more community calls where we go through the newsletter. That went really well. The one, the community call going through the newsletter. That went really well. So more of that. That was good.
I want Lightning to work even better.
I mean, ideally, we can hope we can help with that to get all this standards stuff rolling, all these conversations, and helping adoption and teams to more easily implement and things by having good design practices laid out and whatnot. Stephen, have you been looking more into the Bolt 12 async payment stuff, or just focusing on other
No, I've
things?
just been migrating it from my to-do list from day to day. Got a little sidetracked with Club FM. I'll back to it this week, I promise.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
excited
think
for
this
that.
year has been the year of realizing the various challenges of mobile Lightning wallets, and I hope next year will be the year of them all being resolved.
Yeah. And then we'll finally have our Lightning wrap up end of next year.
Yeah. Then it's on to layer 3. Huh?
Yep.
The 2-year wrap up, 1.5 year wrap up period.
Cool. Yeah, no, I wish everybody a great end to the year.
Yeah, likewise.
Yep. Thanks all for tuning in. 21 jam sessions. We did it. Time for a well-deserved break a little bit, and then we'll pick things back up with this series. And also thanks for Abdul Rahim for joining, and Yashraj as well. I'll probably see you still in the core call on Wednesday. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks for tuning in, if anyone makes it here on Bitcoin TV or YouTube.